Hi, my name is Michelle Kerr, and I'm the genealogist for the Society of Indiana Pioneers. And I thought I would jump in here today and give you a brief overview of how to use the Indiana Wills and Probate records that can be found on Ancestry.com. So if you've only used the search screen within the Indiana Wills and Probate records, boy, there's a lot of goodness that can be found because the search box in there only searches for wills. It does not go through any of the other probate order books. All the other books and records that can be found that are have been scanned and now digitized and are uploaded to Ancestry are there to be looked at, and there's a lot of goodness in there, so you'll want to take a look. I have our brand new website up here. I thought I would just show you this real quick if you haven't seen it. I have literally put in 16 years of my experience as the genealogist for the Society of Indiana Pioneers into this website. And if I've been asked questions, I've tried to answer it all on this website from all of those years. So I hope you take a few minutes to look around. And if you're brand new to family history research, I also have videos and articles on tutorials to help you begin your family history research journey. And so I'm going to slip down here, and this is actually the area, this research and learn. I'm going to click on that, and then we're going to click either on this picture or we're going to click over here on the icon, and that will take us to the research and learn. So the videos and the tutorials I mentioned are farther down here at the bottom of this section. But for right now, we are going to come down to the Indiana Wills and Probate records. So you don't have to write everything down now as I'm telling you, because if you want to come back here, you can actually go to our website, indianapioneers.com, and you can see exactly how to get to the Ancestry's wills area. And usually these wills and probates are available for most of the states. So if you haven't looked around, you might want to take a little peek. So I'm going to pop in here into Ancestry, and the first thing I'm going to do, well, let's back up here a little bit. I want to tell you what I'm going to look for today. I actually had, and I discussed this within our Facebook group here, what I had found, but my problem was that we did not have documentation that linked Loring Waldo and his wife Jane Willits to their son John B. Waldo. So I looked, and Loring Waldo did have some probate records, but none of them listed, in particular, John B. Waldo as a child, which isn't uncommon because a lot of times they will have their wills and everything go to their wife, and maybe one child is an executor or, is listed, but it doesn't always list all the children. I knew that Jane had passed away after Loring, so I thought, well, maybe she had some probate records in there. It's not as common for the females in the earlier years to have automatically get a probate done, but certainly if their husband predeceases them, if that's a word. Anyway, if the husband dies before the wife, a lot of times the wife will have a probate record. And in this case, I could not find any for her. And after a couple days of thought, it suddenly dawned on me that maybe Jane's father might have a will, and because Loring had died fairly early, maybe he even included the grandchildren's names. So that was what I was looking for, and Jane Willits' father's name was Samuel Willits. So the first thing I would normally do when I'm looking around in here would just be to put the name in, and there's a couple different ways you can use. I think it's question marks and asterisks for like substituting and different ways to put the name in there. But as you can see here, we've got a lot of Willits and different versions of the Willett name, and actually we do have Samuel Willits' will in here. So we'll go ahead and click on View Record, and I can see right away that this is actually the index to the wills. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to bring up the beginning of this microfilm. So I want to just give you a little rundown on what this is that we're looking at. first off, we can tell that we are in the Indiana Wills and Probate Records. We're looking for Samuel Willits, and then we're in Rush County. If I were to click on that, we've got all the other counties that are available. And I click over here on this side, and these are all the records. So if I were to click on another county, I could see all of their records as well. And as you can see down here, we're going all the way down. All of these records so far are not indexed. So when you're searching, you're missing out on all of these records. But look, oh, we have 3 microfilms down here with several volumes, 7 volumes total, recorded on 3 microfilm that have been digitized. And these are the only records, these last 3 records, that have been indexed. So you see, you're missing out on a lot of good information if you don't, take some time and kind of poke around in here. Let's see, let's go back here, and we're going to zoom in a little bit, and we can see that Samuel Willits, his last name's cut off a little bit, is on page 28. I can tell just by looking down here at the very bottom that this 139, obviously if it were the first volume and we're looking at an index, it would be closer to the one, maybe 9 or 10 pages in, and not 139. So I'm pretty sure that we are looking at volume 2 of the 3 that are in here, but volume 2 in particular. So if we go back here, and that was around 137, so I'll keep track of that. And we can look here and you can see that we definitely are volume 2 of the will records. And if we go back to around 136, let's see. That was this one. Okay. So we know that we're in volume 2. You want to keep that in mind, because whenever you're going to cite this, you want to remember where it was that you were looking at. And page 28. The nice thing is that, okay, if I click on this little film strip icon, I can take away the film strip, and it gives me a lot more viewing area. But when I'm kind of poking around pages by page, it's kind of nice to be able to have this. If I hit the little arrow key going here, it's going to take 1 page at a time. If I come down here, it's going to take literally, I've got 6 little screenshots on here. It'll go down by another 6. So now I'm here at 148. And let's just poke on that and we'll see what the page is. So I'm at 13. I'm going to go down another one, and that should take me up to 25. So this is going to be 27, and this should be 28. And if I move over here, there's page 28, and obviously he is down here, starting near the bottom of the page. Okay, so this is a good thing. This links Samuel Willits, and if we read on down here, his daughter, Jane Waldo, is listed. So it's very clear. The problem is that if you look around for through the rest of this will, he does not mention any grandchildren. So while we have Samuel Willits to his daughter, we still are missing Loring Waldo and Jane Willett relationship to their son, and that's what I was trying to prove. I had noticed a little note, and it talked about the fact that even after this will had been published, that there was something that had gone on. And I don't even remember right now where I had seen it, but it led me to look around at a little bit later dates than this 1840. I believe he died in 1842 in Rush County. So it took me, I ended up at I'm going to go all the way down here to volume 6 through 8. And that was 1850 to 1863. And I can tell they usually have these numbers. And if you click on it, you can see that it gives a lot of times, it doesn't always do this, but a lot of times it'll give you the volume number and hopefully the dates that are in here. And if we're really lucky, it will have an index starting right there. And you can see this is starting with A's. This particular record that I found ended up being in volume 7. So we go back up here, we have 6, 7, and 8 included in here. So I kind of guess if there's 3 books that I go around like about 200 is my guess for when the next beginning section will be. And somewhere around 500, 550, 600 would be for the third volume. So where I would guess to start with, because there's nothing written down of where to actually go for anything. So I am going to go ahead and go and guess around the 200 area. So this goes to page, it's image 200, not page. And we're in the S's. And I'm going to need to go on down here a couple more pages to get to the W's. Okay, I'm going to bring that down and then zoom in a little bit. And here is Samuel Willett, deceased. Okay, so these are like gold. Petition to sell. Anytime you see any partition records, petitions to sell, these are like gold records, because usually families and lists of families, identities, heirs are all going to be listed within these types of documents. They're usually very rich in that kind of information for genealogists. And, you know, as you're becoming familiar with these, I would certainly start with the first page. And you're going to have to, you know, decide whether this is 115. You know, you're going to have to kind of look around here to find this first record. Writing can be a bit, you know, hit and miss on this as to how readable things are. But I'm usually way too impatient, so I always slip to the end. A lot of times these in-between records, you'll find that they are continuances where, you know, they've come in and the information, or they're not ready to, you know, finish up the case, so they're continued to the next session. And so, you know, it's kind of hit and miss whether you'll find anything on these middle ones, but certainly don't just take a few minutes and go look at them, because it helps to also become kind of familiar with the records. But 325 is the page I'm looking for, and I'm going to get close to that. And let's see, we're going to go into maybe 360, and let's bring this down, and we're going to see what page, because we want 325. So we're going to have to go on up. 366. Let's see, that's 324, so it should be the very next page. Should be 325, and I'll try to take it over here a little slower so that I'm not making anybody dizzy. And there we have it. Okay, Samuel Willett's final distribution. So this is a lot of gold information in here. It's really good. But I want to point this out. A lot of times when you first come in here, this little tab over here to the right is going to, you know, give you any details that are in here. You might want to just poke around and see, are there any other suggested records that you look at? And then if you are someone who is keeping track of this information and you want your source information to be able to transfer into a program, or, you know, keep for your own records, you can certainly highlight, you know, copy and paste this information in here. But for right now, I'm going to X out of this, and that opens up the entire screen for me here, because I want to be able to really get as much viewing room as I can. And then I'm going to also, I could click this film strip, or I can click this X off to the right, and that's going to give me a lot more space. So the thing that we were looking for here was of course his daughter, and we find this in the only heirs of Jane Waldo, deceased. So what that told me was that between 1842 and, if we go up here, it's 1855 when this court case is being brought in, Jane has passed away. And so what has happened here is, if we go on down here, all her children are listed because they're her heirs. And there it is, John B. Waldo. So if I bring my little picture back over here, Loring Waldo had probate records, but nothing with children. Couldn't find anything for Jane, but we did find Jane's father, Samuel Willett, and he lists Jane Waldo as deceased, his daughter, and her heirs, John B. Waldo is listed as one of her heirs. So we have hit pay dirt here, and as far as, genealogy and proving in order to join the Society of Indiana Pioneers, this is like gold. And I certainly would take that as a link between generations, proving that John B. Waldo is definitely the son of Jane Willits Waldo. And down here you can see where they distributed to each one of the families, and John is listed as getting his share down here. So all sorts of good information. One quick trick or one quick thing that I do after I find something like this is I will come up here to the little tool menu and I will rotate left or rotate right, and then I'm going to kind of zoom out a little bit just so that I've got the whole picture here in place. And then what I will do is do a screenshot, and I'll take my little snip and sketch tool and come over here and just take a picture of this whole thing all the way down here, where you can even see that we are getting this record from Ancestry.com. We've been in Rush County, the probate order book volume. This tells us what microfilm we could go look for. This tells us the actual page in the microfilm to look at. And then what I would do is I would type in text or handwrite it in the volume number. This happened to be volume 7. So that covers all our bases, because down here at the bottom left we have the page number, we have the film number, and we are good to go. And this gets printed out, and this would be added in with the application. So, take a few minutes, look through here. There is so much goodness, and it goes beyond even Indiana. There's, like I said, a lot of the states have information here too, and you can certainly go to all the different counties within Indiana. For the most part, some of them are missing, but for the most part. And just as a little note, down at the Indiana State Library, they do have all this information, or all available on microfilm. So if you'd like to go down to the State Library, I know for a fact that they have this information all down there, and it's viewable, as well as land and property records and deeds, and oh my goodness, so much goodness at the Indiana State Library as well. That's where our office is located. And if you have any questions, please feel free to send them along. And good hunting.